Well, hello there, friends. So today, look what we're working on. We're working on a boat seat cushion. So you can see that it's seen better days. So I'm going to tell you what me and my customer talked about, how he wants to get this done, and my recommendations to him, and see whether if he went for it or not. So here we go. So this is very typical of what a customer would bring into me. It is aged and it is old, but you know what? The foam cushion underneath is almost always okay. So it's very, very rare to ever have to replace the foam cushion. So we have a cover here that had, it's like a molded pleat right here. It's like a heat seal pleat. Okay, that's the only way you can really get a good pleat in a boat seat. You know, if you wanted to duplicate this, but the only thing I could do anyway is to sew pleats. Okay, but then what that would mean is that would mean everywhere there's a stitch, that's probably going to be the first place it's going to fail in the future. So the best thing to do is, one of my recommendations was to do what I call a smooth and plain. So it's really a smooth seat insert with no sewing in it. That's what's going to last the longest because there's nowhere for the material to fail like that. You can see here where the thread gave away and fell apart. Okay. So the other thing that we talked about was this welt or beading, or what else we call it. Some people, they call it beading, welt, piping. That's right. Okay. So I had recommended him on the edge here to do a top stitch instead of this welt because, you know, this looks like so 1970s, right? So we're going to go ahead and update that for him. Also the colors. This in particular seat cushions, they don't even match what's in his boat right now. So what we're going to do is actually update these here with the correct colors for his boat. So he's going to really be a happy customer when he gets this thing back. But you know what? You see that? I guarantee you this is probably 100% of the time from a boat manufacturer made from marine vinyl. And look at that. Marine vinyl. This would last about as long as regular automotive vinyl. I have a video on that actually. Talks about the difference between marine and automotive vinyl. I call it marine vinyl is a scam, and now you can see why I say that. You know, because they usually charge more for marine vinyl. The cost of the marine vinyl. So anyway, let's go ahead and start getting this thing here apart. Usually the first thing we do is we start off by marking off intersections. But as you can see, this doesn't really have any, does it? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make my own reference marks. So I'm going to take a black Sharpie marker instead of my white one that I usually use because this is white vinyl. So I'm just going to make my own just by marking corners. That way I can use this as a reference later on when it comes to put this thing back together again. So I'm going to just do this on the corners. What's left of this corner, I guess I have to guess on this one. I'm just going to put a mark there and a mark here. Same thing with this. It looks like that was the corner. Maybe that was the corner. Okay, this one right here. I guess. Maybe. And how about one here near the middle someplace? I guess here on the back too. Oh, there's actually one seam right here. Okay. If you find value in my upholstery tutorials, now is an easier way to contribute to my YouTube channel. Buy a coffee by scanning this QR code now. Thank you. So there's Miss Nibbles the Wonder Dog. You haven't seen her in a while. But she just wanted to say hi to her fans. Right? Say hi! This one has some hardware on it. So we're going to go ahead and take this apart. Oh, I almost forgot something. I am going to mark this side right here, because this is the side of the hinge. It's going to go on this side of the cushion. So later on when I go to put this back together, I just mark up or match up my marks here. So what this was supposed to be was was supposed to be a cover for the hinge. But as you can see, it wasn't a very good cover, was it? It's split right there. So we'll be replacing that too. Okay. If I can get underneath that. There we go. Okay, that's off. Now let's see how this comes off. Not very good. Sometimes it'll come off in one piece. If it does that, it's doing you a big favor. If not, we got to go manual. It's so dry and brittle, that's why it would just tear. This vinyl here has aged well in that sun, the hot sun, wherever it was. I didn't mean like well as in well, like good. I meant well as in well done. But they didn't care where they put these staples. This is supposed to be hide 'em strip. That's supposed to hide the staples. But look what they did. They put the staples right on the outside. And this is the manufacturer doing this. And that's a little crazy. Let's see. Okay, that one's coming off pretty good. Oh, it's got 3 staples right in one spot. Right here, that's what they did. They put them on the outside. I guess it wasn't, quality control didn't show up that day. I've actually never seen that before. Usually they do it right. But this guy had other ideas. You know, sometimes when guys put it in staples, they don't care about the next person down the road that has to remove them. Almost there. Oh. Now, what are we going to do about this one? Oh, I can't get underneath these. Well, I guess I'm just going to go around the rest of this cushion here, and I'll be back later. I was having difficulty using it like this. I can't get underneath there. It's really on there tight. So what I did is I went and I grabbed my hammer to do this method. Like that. Just so that way you know how I did it. I guess I got to mark where that strap goes. I'm just going to put a couple little dots right there. That way I know the new strap is going to go in that location. Okay, I'm going to just continue to do this all the way around. Okay, so after about 20 minutes of doing this, I'm almost finished. Okay, I guess the last one is going to be the most difficult, isn't it? Okay, got it. Okay, now I'll just peel all this back. Okay, I guess it's all loose. Okay, now guess what I gotta do? I think you've already figured that one out. Remember, collect your staples. Don't put them on the floor. You're gonna step on them. Then you'll track them everywhere. Make sure you catch them all. So after about 20 minutes of doing that, you end up with a handful of staples. So they go from your hand to the trash, directly to the trash. Well, I'm guessing that because the thread fell apart here, that it's probably going to come apart pretty easy. Which it seems to be so far. So you know there's a couple different ways of doing this, right? You can either take it apart at the seam, or you can take a razor blade and cut the vinyl. And then later on when you go to make your pattern, you just add back in the sewing allowance that you cut off. Okay, so after, well, this one's already fallen apart right there. Okay. There we go, that's the insert. Oh, look at that mess. So this looks like some kind of a plastic that they must have put behind there for the heat seal. It was one piece before, and now it's just a mess for me. I'm going to try to clean this up as best as I can, or else it'll be flying all over the place. Especially I got my fans going here. Okay. Let me try to clean that up. Oh man. Okay. Oh, this thing is wet. The foam is wet. I wonder why. Everybody says if you put a plastic over the foam, it never gets wet. Right, huh? Yeah, that's nasty. Right into the trash. Okay, so last thing we have left here is this one. So the customer just happened to pick some vinyl that I had on hand. That was pretty awesome because that means that I didn't have the cost of more material and shipping. So that worked out pretty good. So being that this is going to be a smooth and plain, I don't have to put any pleats in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just draw it out, add in my sewing allowance. Got my white China marker this time. A lot of you guys have told me that since you've seen me using these things that you've been ordering them and using them. Let me know in comments how you like it. I know they work out really well for me. So what I am going to do here is I'm going to put my marks. So what I'm going to do now, watch this. Because you know this side here is all misshapen. It's shrunk and it's misshapen because it fell apart probably years ago. So it lost its original shape. So what I do, I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm going to use the good one for my pattern. I'm not going to trust that old one. I know some of you guys, you would have just drew it out, right? It's okay. You would have found out. And that's how we learn. I always say make lots of mistakes, I always say. Because when you're making mistakes, that means that you're learning. Okay, so now, look at that. See that shrinkage right there? So I'm going to go ahead and put my marks where I think that they belong. Okay. Now we have a good pattern. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So it doesn't have to be exact. It's not rocket science, right? You know, if you're off 1/8 of an inch, it's never going to show one way or another. So don't concern yourself too much about that. I just want to double check. So I got a couple different lines there. Okay. So it's the inside line. Okay, we have a seat insert. Okay, so if we're going to be doing this side skirt here in one piece, that's way long, so it's a lot longer than the vinyl. This is the vinyl that he chose, that I had on hand. So the vinyls usually only come about 54 inches wide on the roll. So if I could, I would go across the roll this way, not down the roll. Which I could do is if I split this one piece up here into like 3 pieces, I could easily have done that. But you know what, I want it to look original. Not that anybody would matter or notice, but let's do that anyway. So what I'm seeing here is about 90 inches, so I'm just going to go long. So, because it's always better to go long and be able to cut it than to be coming up short, because you can't make it longer. Remember that one. Okay, 92 inches I think is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to measure this. 92, that's pretty long. I'm just going to mark it at 50 right there. Then go another 42, I guess. Right there. So the width of our strip their actual is about 3 1/4, so I think if I add a 1/4 for the sewing allowance and an extra 3/4 for the outside, so I should probably, oh, this, I was going to say 4 1/4, but let's just go 4 1/2. So I'll mark here 4 1/2. 4 1/2. 4 1/2. 4 1/2. Now I'll take a straight edge. Okay, let's go ahead and cut that out. There's our side skirt. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here in the middle, and I'll start back a few inches here. So I'll probably give it about a good 3/8 of an inch right there. A sewing allowance. I'm going to put it on number 5 on my stitch, which is pretty tight. So if you notice, I didn't grab a measuring device to measure out 3/8 of an inch. So I just eyeball it, right? Let's just go all the way around. I was just realizing that I don't have any marks on the other side. Didn't really need them, did we? And I'm just using one single piece of vinyl. Okay, now that I went all the way around and we're getting closer to the middle, what I will do is I will cut the long piece about a 1/2 inch or so longer than the first piece. You can see how it's overlapping there. Let me lock this stitch. So now what I'm going to do is sew these two together. Now I'll finish that stitch. Look at that. So I've already locked that stitch. So if you want to, you can go ahead and lock this one, but I never do. It's already locked. I just go beyond where that lock stitch is. Okay, now it's time for top stitch. So now for the top stitch, I'm going to set my machine stitch length here to 7, which is probably the most common setting that I ever put it at. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to show you real quick. Now I'm not going to top stitch, or I'm not going to lock in this stitch right here. I'm just going to start a stitch, and I'm going to show you in a little while why. So don't go anywhere, you're going to miss a good one. So let's just go ahead and do our top stitch all the way around. The corners got to always take a little special care. So you know, if I would have cut out another strip for welt, that would have been more material and more time. So I'd have to sew that up too. That's why the top stitch is really nice, because you're not using any more material. I think it looks better, and it really updates the piece, makes it look more modern. Okay, back to where we started. So remember I told you about that? So I'm going to put the needle down so that way it doesn't go anywhere. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to pull the thread from the back right here, using my little hook tool, and I'm going to hand tie this. We'll call this technique number 74, because technique number 74 is awesome. You use it a lot, especially if you want higher quality stuff. So now what we'll do is we will continue the stitch, and the needle will end up, the last stitch will end up in the hole of the first stitch right there. Just work it in by hand like that. Complete that rotation, pull it out, leave yourself enough thread, flip it over, take my little hook tool here, pull that out. Let's go ahead and hand tie that. Okay, let's trim that off and then inspect our work. So look at that. It's going to be a very nice and clean start and stop. You can't even see where it started or stopped. Where if you were to lock in your stitch, go back and forth like that, which I've seen. I've even seen that at car shows, believe it or not. You know who you are out there. Don't do that anymore, okay? Just hand tie them from now on. Promise me. So I am not a proponent of this plastic cover, because I don't think it does anything to keep the moisture away. However, I think that they do use it, and I've said this many times. I think they do use it to aid in the installation of the cover. It makes it slide on easier. So we're just going to take this and we're going to throw it aside. So before we put our new cover, we're going to make sure that there's no debris, because we don't want any little things sticking up, pushing up the vinyl anywhere. And when we staple this on, this is what we're going to be using right here. Make sure that it is stainless steel. Stainless steel staples for marine or anything that's going to be outside. Anything that's exposed to water or weather, that's what you're going to want. So now we'll take our cover, line it up, make sure it is where it's supposed to be. Then I'm just going to roll it over like that. Do the same to the other side. roll it. You know, it would make this easier, right? As if I'm using my heat gun. Especially if this is like in the middle of winter, everything is cold. The heat gun would really help. I guess I made this a little bit too good. It's pretty tight. I guess I am going to be using the heat gun after all. That way I can maneuver this and migrate the material so that way it's in the correct position. I'm going to go grab that. Warm this up real nice. See how much nicer that is? I love my heat gun. People say, well, maybe I could use a steamer. Maybe I could use a blow dryer. But to tell you the truth, neither one of those gets the vinyl hot enough. The only true and tried tool that works 100% of the time it's tried is a heat gun. Yep. Okay. Do this side. See what I'm talking about? I'm showing you right now. You can't argue with what you're seeing, right? Some people tell me, well, you have to do it this way. You have to do it that way. I always tell them, well, you could do it that way if you want to, but I never would. I'm only showing you how I do it. It's up to you with how you do it. Okay. Now let's see about stapling this on. So because I have a consistent width on the vinyl, I think, oh wow, that was close. I think that if I do a consistent width all the way around, see the old, wow, the old staples are here. They're like 3/4 of an inch from the edge. So I guess I got to do that. Okay. Go and do the front and the back. Make sure everything's pulled right. Everything looks good. That way we have a consistent width, because you don't want it to have variable width. Okay, looking pretty good. So we'll go ahead and do all the sides. Heat this up. So we got an inside corner here. You know what I should be doing? I should have a carpet underneath this thing so I don't scratch it up on the table. What if there's like a staple or something, a loose staple hanging around on that table? I wouldn't want it to catch the vinyl, right? So maybe I gotta go and do that. Ouch, this is hot. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up this corner. Okay. So put some heat on here. So next thing is to trim off the excess. Just try to get close to the staples. Whoops, I forgot I put that one there. That was the very first one I put. Doesn't need to be there. Okay. Just go all the way around. So you don't need a whole lot of staples, okay? Because you're going to be still putting more staples when you put the item strip. Trust me, this cover's not going to come flying off. Everybody will say, well, why didn't you put more staples? I always get that kind of stuff in the comments. So I almost forgot to make the pull strap. So let's go ahead and get that done right here. What I did is I put an extra piece in the middle to help reinforce it. That way it's going to be nice and strong. The original one didn't have that. So here we go again, making it better than factory. Okay, now and just trim off the excess here. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and put our strap on. Oh, ran out. Did I run out? Oh, I still got it. Okay. Okay. Now we got our item. I just happen to have some black on hand. Okay. So what you do is you put the staples down in between it. So what you do is you spread this apart like that, right? And that's where you shoot your staples. That's why they call it hide 'em. Hides the staples. So some of you might have noticed why I have this metal strap right here, because this particular staple gun, it has some kind of a guide. It's like a safety something or other that comes down here. Well, I had to disable it so that way I can put the end of the staple gun right here, right inside the item. Couldn't do it any other way. Oh, now I think I'm out. Yeah, okay. All right, let's continue. Sometimes it's frustrating when you find out that you're out, because you put a bunch of effort in it and nothing happened because there was no staple there. Well, I guess I just had enough. So the vinyl that they make this stuff out of is really thin. So to get it to lay down, I use my heat gun. Just hold it down. It's nice and hot. Let it cool down. See that? I'll just do that all the way around. I almost forgot that I still have to put a hinge on. Okay. Let's see. I see the hole is right there. Right there. So I had to get another piece of vinyl for the hinge cover. Okay. So just in case if you fell asleep, wake up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Well, my friends, until next time, we'll see ya. If you like this video, you'll really like the next one.